Yeah, so let's talk about what's going on with Panasonic, because really interesting time for your company that's really been in the consumer electronics business since you were adjusting light bulbs 95 years ago.
Right. Yeah, we're almost 100 years old. We'll be 100 years old in 2018. A lot of people are remarking, oh, Panasonic's going through a transition. It's interesting to me that you say a transition. Any company that's 100 years old, especially a $100 billion 100-year-old company, if you want to stay around another 100, you should be evolving all of the time. And we're in the midst of one of those kind of inflection points where we're evolving, and we're kind of shift our focus a little bit.
But one of the things I'm seeing at this show is a lot of companies that would never have imagined being really consumer electronics driven, including the PC business, but also the car business and others, are here, and they realize that the consumer experience of their electronics interface is driving them for sales. Again, whether it's a computer maker or it's a car or whatever.
Yeah. So how amazing is that? The discussion we had just 10 years ago was who's going to win the home, CE or PC? Well, the war's over. CE won, and it's really not about CE. It's about communications and how you ease communications and foster communication and how you shift content all around the place. And consumer electronics has figured it out.
So you remember, was it 10 years ago, Bill Gates demonstrated it was like a table computer that you would somehow you would sit in front of and touch the table and that would be your interface? I
remember that, but what I remember every day is you have to press 3 buttons to turn off your computer or turn on your computer. Right. Then you push off to turn. See, I can't even keep track of it. So we haven't made it simple yet.
So, so what does Panasonic look like, do you think, in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and what is the changes happening today?
So, first, I want to make it clear, we're not walking away in any fashion from consumer electronics. It's part of our core DNA. And the reality is, many of these great technologies that we're applying across our entire portfolio, especially B2B, it all came from consumer research. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we're going to be a very different company. We'll be much stronger on the B2B side. We'll be a much broader...
What do you mean by that?
So,
B2B, business to business, but what do you mean stronger?
What most people don't know is less than 50% of Panasonic's revenue comes from consumer electronics and home appliances. If you're a $100 billion company, that means you got a lot of big businesses in other areas. So were you aware that Panasonic Avionics, headquartered just outside Los Angeles, is the world leader in in-flight entertainment for avionics, the aviation industry?
I was not.
By far the massive market share. In fact, we just announced this week a project with United Airlines. We're going to outfit all 358 United aircraft with our X Connect, which will provide voice, data, and internet connections on planes. And, wait a minute, we're the only ones that can provide real-time TV over the ocean so that people will be able to watch you no matter what.
Well, that's a good thing. Or on some flight, someone will be cursing you if they're watching me. But that gets exactly my point. The consumer electronics is driving sales of airline tickets based on who's you're going to fly Virgin or JetBlue because you know they've got a TV in front of you versus not doing our internet connectivity in certain flights. What do you guys do to be in new businesses but stay strong in that old business and not be in too many things?
We're not worried about being in too many things because our portfolio, in fact, probably you'll see us start to narrow down somewhat. I think our biggest focus over the next 5 or 6 years, it's our announced intention to be the world's #1 green innovation leader in the electronics industry. And I think the first sign of that, the true sign of that, not just rhetoric but talk, is Fujisawa Sustainable Smart City. City. So about 30 miles outside of Tokyo, we had a big industrial complex. We shut that complex down a couple of years ago, and we're taking that land, and in collaboration with the city, we're going to build the world's first city from the ground up with eco and sustainability in mind. So by 2014, we'll have about 3,000 residents in this city, and those homes will essentially be off the grid. Each one of those homeowners will be able to collect, store, manage, and distribute their own energy for their own homes.
Panasonic City, very interesting stuff.
It's cool.
All right, well, Joe Taylor, glad you could join us here at CES.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Panasonic was a big part of this show, and I'm glad to get you on Bloomberg West.
Thank you so much for having me.